Hey, awesome entrepreneurs. I'm Sudarshan, and I want to welcome you to the fifth episode of AtomicPreneur Show. This is where we interview entrepreneur, agency owner, coaches, and consultants who are unstoppable and dominating figures on their respective businesses. So we're gonna dive deep and uncover all the strategies of those super successful entrepreneurs to find out how they did it and how you can model it too. So hold tight, because today we have got a super special guest in the house and get ready for a mind-blowing journey of a six-figure SaaS and marketing agency owner and a coach. So discover how he has launched and scaled his SaaS and marketing agency to six-figure leveraging his SASO framework. So today he will be sharing with us how he launched and scaled his agency over $20,000 monthly recurring revenue in under 5 months of launching his agency with $0 client acquisition model. So now how he's helping multiple agency owners to launch and scale their SaaS and marketing agency businesses. So let's dive in and get inspired. So without further delay, let me welcome let's welcome Alec Roy on the stage. Hi, Alec. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, absolutely amazing so far. So we're good to go, right?
Yeah, everything is good for me. Yes, sir.
So thanks for being here, Alec, and we are excited to hear your insights and learn from your experiences. To our audiences, you can drop your questions in the comments, anything related to SaaS and marketing agency, and Alec Roy will address them during the show. So stay tuned for some valuable marketing wisdom from the man who started and scaled his SaaS and marketing agency over $20,000 monthly recurring revenue, leveraging his SASO framework. So, Alec, can you tell us a little bit about your backstory and the turning point in your career that helped you to start your own marketing agency along with your coaching?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say I think I don't know if I can see the question. So if you see a question I don't see, don't let me miss it. So you can read it out to me or let me know. But yeah, this all started when COVID hit the United States. So my wife and I were working like we were just out of college. We were working at like a nonprofit youth sports organization. And COVID hit and you can't really play sports when you have to quarantine. So everybody went home and everybody basically tried to figure out how to make money online or from their house, and I was one of them. And the first thing that I did was I watched like a lot of like Gary V content, a lot of Alex Hormozy content. I looked into like drop shipping, which is what I started off first. And drop shipping went terribly. I did so badly with drop shipping. Um, but what I was learning as I went was basically like the way that the online money making space works. So like I watched a lot of drop shipping content, and a lot of them were like, "Oh, all you have to do is find this product. It's super easy, and then run ads." And so I basically ended up learning all of the skills that I would later use in my business the hard way. So I learned how to run ads by failing so badly with ads because I was like overconfident, or I learned market research because I didn't do it right the first time. And so going through this process, I was like trying really, really hard in drop shipping, wasting so much money. It was a complete waste of money. It wasn't a waste of time. I thought it was, but it was a waste of money. And then as COVID started, I want to say maturing, right? People started kind of getting used to it. People were going back out and in public and working. I said, let me just go back and work work a normal job, right? So I kind of dropped the online money space. I got a job 90 minutes from my house. So I had to drive 90 minutes to work. I'd work and then drive 90 minutes back, right? And that was horrible too. I was like working, I was the account manager at a location. I had a I had four teams basically. So I had it was 24 hours, 7 days a week. This facility was open. I had to manage them. I was the only manager. So I took that location. They're about to fire the whole company. They hired me the day before we had this big inspection. They basically said, "Hey, you're gonna go down with the ship," and I didn't know it, right? Turned around the whole account. It started doing really, really well. but I still had to drive 90 minutes to work, 90 minutes back just to work for a company that really wasn't paying me what I was worth, right? I was managing a $1.2 million contract, and they were only paying me like less than 0.1% of the contract. It was under 60K to manage a $1.2 million contract by myself. I was the only one managing it. So there was a lot of pressure there, but the pay, even after I mastered it, the pay didn't move. Even after I landed contract after contract, even after I expanded the contracts, nothing moved. So my mind brought me back again to how can I make money for myself, because then I can keep the money that I'm working so hard for, instead of you work really hard, you make the same amount of money. You don't work hard, you make the same amount of money, right? So on the 90 minutes that I would drive to and from work, I would start playing YouTube videos and just listening. And I would play all these videos from all these different people. So I was listening. I went back to Gary Vee. I went back to Alex Hormozy. I went to Neil Patel. I don't know if you know who that is, like really, really good SEO guy. I started watching all these like smaller content coaches uh, uh, um, who were actually, instead of me acting like the client, right? Like consuming the content, like, oh, learn drop shipping. I was like, okay, every day going to and from work for over a year. And what's really interesting is before COVID, I had a college degree. Like I had a project management degree. And what you find all the time, and this is like a running joke in the United States, is like very funny. It's not very funny, but it's it's a funny joke we say. But like basically, you have a great degree, and you need 10 years of experience, but you need the 10 years of experience. You need the job to get the experience, right? So you're like stuck working these like really bad jobs. So I didn't want to work 10 years for 60K. I thought that was like absolutely ridiculous for the United States. Dollar conversion, it's just not great. So even with the degree, a very, very prominent degree, it's a fast growing industry in the United States, the project management. Even with that degree, um, it just was not going my way. So I was like, how can I focus on using this degree to actually grow my own business? So with project management, I'm basically like mapping out how to build this project, but I treated the business as the project. So I was like, what do I need to do? What are skills do I need? How can I use a budget? And so like it's a over the course of like the next year from me working at this job, driving back and forth, and my car would break down every other month because I'm putting on like in 1 week, I'm putting on like almost 1,000 miles every single week. So my car would break down every other month. Like I'd have to be in the shop, like some hose would break, the radiator would crap out, the alternator would crap out, I'd have to get, flat tires, I have to rotate my tires. So it was costing me a lot of money, even just in the driving alone. The gas, I mean, I'm filling up gas twice, 2 to 3 times a week. And that was during COVID when gas was super, super high. So it was a very, it was basically like, for me, it was like, okay, I need to make this happen. Um, and so then I basically tried to figure out, well, if I want to scale, if I want to grow a business, I tried the product side. It sucked. I hated it. And what I found with the products is, and this is what, if you look at drop shipping, this is what they'll tell you. They'll tell you, okay, what you need to do is you need to use Oh, can you hear me?
Apologize, there is a little drop of internet connection. So I was hearing your story, like we started like in similar position, like with the horrible job experiences, with less payout. So yeah, that was great starting. And also you have gone through so many bad or good experiences on the past when you just started, like
Yeah.
going in stuff,
A
drop.
lot of bad. A lot of bad.
Absolutely. So it's also overwhelming with a lot of information, like when you get started. So
Hmm.
that is starting most of us horrible. So
Hmm.
yeah, I just want to ask you another questions regarding like your program, that can you break down in short a 7-step $0 client acquisition model for us. And we'll have to learn the
Yeah.
process of bringing you from $0 to $20,000 recurring monthly revenue.
Yeah. So when I found the um so like when I was looking at drop shipping, what I realized very quickly was that there's no unique selling proposition, right? Because if I can source the product from China, you can source the product from China. There's no barrier to entry, right? So that's where I pivoted and I said, okay, if I'm not going to do products, I need to do services. Because if you do a service, then you have that unique selling proposition, right? Because there's only one of me, there's only one of a business owner, and because the service is reflective or an extension of the business owner, that's that unique selling proposition. So once I moved into services, it was a matter of, okay, how do I maximize the services, right? And so maximizing the services, I was like, well, if I work with a large player, then I'm going to minimize how many people I can work with because of their service area. So that's where I found I need to work with local service businesses, right? And so when I was starting out, that's where I was very, very broad. I didn't niche down because I didn't have any guidance and really know what I was doing. But I just started very, very broad. Looking back, I would use the method I'm about to share now, but that's basically how I got to that point. And so when I was looking at local service areas, I was like, cool, what software do I need? Right. And so this is where it kind of comes into finding the different affiliate coaches and the different ways to start and how I got to the $0, how I created the $0 acquisition model. But I used Zoho One first. And then when I heard about Go High Level, I was like, well, Go High Level is the same as Zoho One, but there's no additional fee per extra user or extra client. And then Zoho One, Zoho used to have a product called Zoho One, and they got rid of some of the features in Zoho One, like this really cool social media feature. So I was like, okay, well, that was the last straw. I was like, cool, I'm just gonna move over to high level. Now, when I got to high level, everybody said, you need to cold call, you need to run ads as a beginner, you need to run a cold email campaign. And then the worst one I ever heard was you need to go door to businesses and you need to talk to them and build relationships and try to sell them. That was like the four key items that everybody was saying to do. Everybody. And this is about like early 2023, right? Everybody's saying do these four things. And I remember I had done drop shipping, and drop shipping just costs you money because they were doing those four things too, to a certain extent, right? It was the emails, it was the cold calling, not cold calling, but the ads. I'd done cold calling before. When I was in college, I worked like telemarketer jobs. It's time consuming. It's very time consuming. For you to get somebody on the phone and have a conversation with them, it's going to be 1 to 10 minutes. If you have a conversion rate of 1%, which is what the professionals have, you have to make 100 phone calls. So you're looking at 100 to 500 minutes. And that's not including the fulfillment. That's not including the sales calls. That's just trying to keep the funnel coming in. So then I was like, well, what if I just use social media? Like, what if I just ask people on social media for help? Or what if I try to figure out a way to get social media? And it sounds so silly, but this is how the $0 client acquisition model was born. Was I went into a group, and a lot of people like will tell you like this isn't new, like nothing I did was new or unique, but they were like, oh, go in groups and be like, who wants this? Who wants that? Hit me up. Because I wasn't trying to sell, I went the other way and I was like, I wanted to get people on a call with me. And so instead of me trying to say, oh, I have something cool, because I wasn't trying to sell, remember, I found this by accident. I was basically saying like, oh, if you hop on a call with me, I'll interview you because I wanted to interview like my potential clientele to figure out what they want. And then the way that I was getting them on the call would be, hey, if I'll interview you, and then as I'm interviewing you, I'll record it and I'll cut up our interview into social media clips that I'll give you for free because I was like so desperate to learn. Well, I was like, I'll help three people out. Like I just need to talk to three people. I had 18 people message me, and they were all like, I want in, I want in, I want in. And I was like, whoa, okay. So I took 10 of them. And of those 10, I interviewed them, did the clips. The first guy I ever interviewed, the very first call that I got on, he sent me to his buddy and I closed his buddy on a 5K deal. But I was like, wait a minute. I just spent $0 and 1 hour of my time led to another 1 hour phone call. And again, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like fumbling in the dark, right? And I closed a 5K ticket sale within 2 hours. And I was like, but I spent $0, right? So with paid ads, you're spending money. With email, you're spending money and you're scraping the same leads everybody else scrapes. With cold calls, you're spending a bunch of time. Soliciting, if you interrupt a business in the middle of the day to sell them something, they're not going to be happy with you. Um, if you go door to door, you're gonna in the United States, you can get fined for soliciting. You can in some areas you can even get arrested for soliciting. So that advice was crazy when I heard somebody promoting that. But from there, I'm like, oh, okay. So I can use social media, but I'm not going to use social media the way the other guys do. I'm not going to like post like buy from me. I can do this for you. I'm not going to just cold DM. I was like, I have to find a way to use social media. So social media was essentially how I got into that $0 client acquisition model. And then from there, the game became how can I use social media for 100% free, but I need to do this at scale, right? But social media was the tool. And I can even go into like the 7-step process, the SASO process. But the social media, that's kind of the story of how I stumbled across social media and how I basically was like people were just DMing me inbound leads and it was like way easier than any outbound.
Yeah, awesome. That was self explanatory. So I have gained a couple of new things that you've shared today, like going through your experiences. So, however, when I also got started, I also gone through so many different other stuff, like as you've shared, like starting with the broad stuff, going through here and there,
Mhm.
making it over complicated. Like started learning how to build the funnel, how to like run the paid ads to meet
Mhm.
the client. So many different other things. So slowly by slowly, like with the experiences, I also started narrowing down my niche and other stuff. So when things
Mhm.
started going more smooth. So it's great to start on the starting to go broadly. And as you have mentioned on the organic part, like I also believe like starting organic is the best to get started. And
Yeah.
nothing can replace that. And regarding um, I was watching your YouTube video. So on your YouTube video, you are mentioning about reverse engineering process. So
Mhm.
regarding reverse engineering, the most profitable niche. So can you
Mhm.
share simple step or consideration for agency owners or entrepreneurs who is looking to identify their niche to land their dream clients, leveraging the
Yeah.
reverse engineering process?
Yeah. So there's two when we're selecting the niche, there's two main things that we need to look at. And before I even share those two things, here's what I'll say. When and I'll share in just a few moments when you'd like me to the 9-step process that I went through to getting to that 21.1K per month level. But what I will say is that I've coached probably close to easily close to, I'll say conservatively 500 people on this. It's probably closer to 1,000, but I'm going to say 500 to not be over dramatic. But I've coached at least 500 people in this process. What I will say is that the number one issue that I found that prevents people from hitting these really nice numbers, and there's people doing way more money than me, but just to get to that level of like, okay, this is moving nicely and not wasting my time all day, right? Not working 8, 10, 12 hour days. The number one issue people have is they do not niche down. So that's why like niching down is so important. Because when you niche down and you serve one community, what happens is if I get results within that community, then I can leverage that result to attract more people within the same community. But if I work with plumbers and lawyers, and let's say I do really well with plumbers, that doesn't translate over to lawyers at all. So if I tell a lawyer, oh yeah, I help this plumber, he's gonna be like, why would I care? That makes no sense. But if I say, hey, I only work with plumbers, I only work with electricians, I only work with doctors, I only work with accountants, right? If I get a case study or if I get results within that niche, I can use that to attract more people within that same niche. So that's number one. Number two is if I'm only within that one niche, then I can create templates that I can apply. So with high level, we have snapshots with but any software you use, right? You can have templates where it says, cool, it's the same client in the same industry. The only thing that's changed is who I'm working with and where they are. That's it. So now I have I have a starting point that's much more powerful than if I were to go and try to rotate niches. That's number two. Number three is if I'm marketing plumbers, then I can master how to market plumbers. But marketing plumbers is very different from marketing electricians, even though they're very close to each other. Very different from marketing lawn care, very different from marketing a landscape or construction. They're so close together, but yet they're completely different. So that's where it's like if you niche down, the marketing becomes better, the messaging becomes better, the case studies resonate much more deeper, and then your template, your work becomes so much easier. So then it's like, okay, cool. We know we have to niche down. how do we niche down? So there's two steps, right? One, it's the logical, it's the brain. What on paper makes the most amount of sense? And then two, this is the part that people laugh at, but it is the number one piece that holds people back is you. Who are you? And so here's what I'll say. Every industry has a lot of money in it. Otherwise, there would only be 10 industries in the world, but there's not. There's hundreds and thousands of industries and sub-industries and sub-markets and sub-niches, right? However you want to break it down. So it's not a matter of people ask me this all the time. What's the best industry? The best industry, it sounds very corny, but I'll explain. It's the one where you can make a difference. Because if you can make them money, they will pay you a portion of that money. And if you have case studies within that same industry, which is why we niche down, it makes much more sense for me to say, hey, you pay me up front and I'm going to get you these results. And here's proof that I can get these results. And here's some kind of guarantees or safety measures to make sure I'm not, ripping you off, right? Or running with your money. So if we look at the logical is how can I maximize how can I maximize quality clients? And then how can I get as many of them as possible? That's and then the third would be evergreen and marketability. So those are like the three main categories. So it's like number one, high quality clients. So if we're looking in the service space, some people come to me and they go, "What about junk removal? What about tree removal? What about um they'll say these like industries that really don't have high traction. So it's like, okay, like Christmas light installation. Like, okay, that's one time out of the year, right? So they'll come to me with these industries, or what's another one? A big one is auto glass repair. So like windshield, people will like replace the windshield, but these are industries where they're not very high ticket and they're not in demand quite a bit, right? They're very cheap. So if they don't have money to, if they are not making money, they're not going to have money to spend, right? So that's going to be, you want to look for those high quality recurring clients. So I love, if you were to look at paper, the best industry on paper is accountants because they charge their clients every month. They have high ticket upsells. They only want a certain amount of clients. They don't want 100 clients. They don't want 200 clients. They only want like 40 to 60, right? The typical ones. The bigger agencies, they'll go 200, 300, but they don't want to go past a certain limit because they have a certain amount of clients assigned to workers, right? So when we're looking at the industries, it's basically like, okay, who is making money every month and who is making decent money every month? So that's number one. Number two is going to be your marketability. Who can we market as having a unique selling proposition? You cannot market junk removal because junk removal is only needed when you have junk to remove, right? I can't be like, oh, hey, check out this commercial on junk removal. And then you're like, you know what? I want to go throw away a bunch of junk I never threw away. Like, that doesn't make sense. Or tree removal. You're not going to see an ad for tree removal and be like, you know what? I love that tree. It's my family tree, but I want to remove it because of that ad. No one says that. So you need to say what are things that we can market. So like massage parlors, beauticians, car detailing, anything car improvement, not the windshield, because the windshield, how often do you replace your windshield? You only replace it when someone breaks it. So I have people tell me, oh, should I do windshield repair? And I'll tell them, unless you're going to go around in the middle of the night breaking people's windshield and then putting a flyer to hire our windshield repair, it doesn't make sense because you can't create demand. So you want to look at a market in which you can create demand. I can create demand for a lawyer. I can create demand for accounting. I can create demand for massage parlors or physical therapists, right? I can create demand for these things. I cannot create demand. If I cannot create demand, I don't want to work in that industry. And then the last piece is evergreen or I'll say evergreen and kind of like recession proof. So like what are things that are going to be here for a while? So it doesn't have to be forever, but it has to be at least 5 to 10 years, right? So we have an expression, right? Death and taxes. It's as sure as death and taxes. So funeral homes and accountants will always be here, always, right? Because people are always going to die and people are always going to have taxes, right? So death and taxes. Auto body, they're always gonna people have people to work on a vehicle. Lawyers always gonna be a thing. Doctors always gonna be a thing. Blue collar guys, right? Electrician, plumbers, lawn care, landscaping, construction, those are always gonna be a thing. So it makes more sense to get in those industries because you know the job market is secure. And Alex Hormozy talks about this. He's like, don't go work with newspaper sales because they're declining like 25% every year. So it doesn't make sense to go to a dying industry. And all you do to find it, by the way, is you just Google like how much is in blank industry growing every year. And if it says a positive growth, go for it. If it's zero or negative, don't industry. And again, you want the service area to be as small as possible, because if I think about this, if you have one national provider, how many clients can you work with before they start competing? One. If you have two national providers, they're fighting for the same people, right? Let's say we go regional. How big is your country if you want to work in a regional, right? In the United States, we have 5 regions. So that means I can work with almost all of them do. So what's the next level down? Well, we can go by state, but there's not very many people who just service a state. So we can skip the state levels. And if they do, again, most people don't service by the state or principality, they service by the city. So it's like, okay, cool, let me go to the city level. Now imagine whatever country you're in, if you had a client in every single city, right? And if every client in every single city were paying you between, 97 USD to 497 or even 997 USD, even at the lowest rate of 97 USD, United States has over 20,000 cities. That's quite a bit of money every single month, right? And if you're charging 97, you only need 859 clients before you're hitting $1 million, because that's 83,000 every month. So people think, like, that's another thing. People think like, well, I need all the clients in the world. I need a huge piece of the market share. No, you don't. If you type in how many plumbers are there, how many electricians are there, how many lawyers are there in my country,
Yeah, am I
can you hear me now?
audible? Sorry, my internet is
Yeah,
completely stopped today.
you're
So
good. You're good. I stopped talking as soon as I saw it cut out. But that's basically what it is. So it's like marketability, service area, and then of course you also want to look at the if it's evergreen or not. And then from there, look at service size. So once those 3 things are factored in, service, you want to go service over product, and then you want to look at service area. So if they're a city or county servicing area, that's perfectly, to me, that's the perfect combination for maximizing your growth. And what's funny is I have students who are in the same industry, and they're like, "Aren't we competing?" And I'm like, if you knew how much money was spent every day, if you saw how big the market size was, you're not competing. Yes, you're in the same market, but you can have 859 people. You can have 859 people, and you guys still haven't touched 0.2% of the entire market size. So even when people are in the same industry, I'm like, learn from each other, work with each other. But that to me is the perfect resume, or the perfect recipe, rather. The local service-based businesses niche down to make your template easier, your productizing easier, your marketing easier, your case studies resonate deeper. Look for something that you can create demand in. Look for something where you can actually stay in this industry for the next 5 to 10 years minimum, evergreen or recession proof. But that's essentially the recipe right there.
that's awesome, Alec. Like you have completely easily break down the step of like choosing the niche so in a perfect way. And as you've mentioned, like it's easier to be specialist on one single niche rather than going for multiple different niches and broad. So
Yeah.
thanks for
And that's
breaking
the that's
down.
the logical side too. That's like the brain side. The next side is, what do you want to market, right? If you don't want to market massage parlors, don't get on social media talking about massage parlors. If you like uh landscaping, talk about landscaping. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that holds people back is just picking the niche, because they think, what if I can make more money there? What if I can make more money? If you pick one and master it, whoever you marry, they're gonna have good things.
Awesome. Alec, can you hear my voice? Hello, am I audible?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, I really apologize for the connection today. So yeah, that's the awesome breakdown, and thanks for sharing it. Like I find so many things like that's answered so many of my questions already on breaking down the niches. So I'd love to another questions regarding like you are also helping the agency owner to get consistent client with your $0
Mhm.
acquisition model. So to bring new clients, you need a great offer. So how does an agency owner can create their offer so that it is completely become irresistible? Like for example, if an agency owner provide full marketing service to a coaches, how does he
Mhm.
get the offer so that the coach cannot refuse it? So would you love
Yeah.
to break down the process of creating the irresistible offer?
Yeah, I think this is one of the number one things that people mess up, and this is the number one thing that I messed up. So picking the niche is the number one problem people have that they know of, but creating the offer is the number one problem that they're unaware of. Because what people do, and this is what I did, and I lost quite a bit of money doing this, is people say, I think they want this, or I've done research and people want this. And then they'll go to promote the offer and they'll say, nobody wants the offer. And I go, okay, when you put your offer together, did you talk to people and ask them what they want? And every time the answer is no. So what we do is it's like Wolf of Wall Street, right? The famous scene where they say, sell me this pen, right? And everyone goes, oh, well, the pen has this and this and this. It's like, no. The first question is, are you trying to buy a pen? Are you in the market to buy a pen? And if they say no, then you say, okay, why would I sell you a pen then? Right? What are you in the market for? And it's like, oh, okay. So the way that I looked at it was I took a different approach and I said, if I want to charge 97 a month or 1,000 a month or $10,000, I don't have to say, here's what I think people want for this much money. I have to talk to them and I have to say, what would you pay $1,000 for? Now, you can't tell them, you can't ask them and then sell them. So I look at it in two phases. I do the avatar analysis where I'm trying to understand what the niche wants. And this is why niching down is number one. Number two is the offer creation. The offer is based entirely upon the niche. So is the pricing, so is everything. So the first thing we do is once we select the niche, now we have to talk to people in that niche. I call it a reverse trend market analysis because what we do is we do three analysis for the market. You want to do an analysis against your, you want to look at the competitor, you want to look at the market, you want to look at the avatar. So you want to look at who you're competing against, you want to look at who you're servicing, and you want to actually speak to the people who you are servicing to, because that's going to be the easiest way to understand. If we speak two different languages, there's no communication. So if I need to speak with them and understand what are the languages you speak, and I'll even consume the content they consume. So when I was working with lawn care guys, I'd ask them, hey, what kind of content are you consuming? And you'd be like, oh, I look at this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. I would go follow them on YouTube and social media so I could understand the way that the way that they think, the way that they approach things. And that then, yes, we both speak English, but now we both speak lawn care. And so that would take me so much further with them. But really, it boils down to this is the example I always use with my students. I would say,
Yeah, are you still with me?
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you well. So you're giving the
Okay,
example
cool.
to students like how you
Yes. Yeah. So this is the example I always use with students. I'll say, would you buy this pen? And I'll ask you, right? We can do a live demonstration. Would you buy this pen for $100?
absolutely no.
No, right? And sometimes people will say like yes, and I'm like, no, no, no. Be honest. Would you buy this for $100? Right? And they'll say no. So that's the issue. People go like, I have a product. I want to sell it for the money I want to sell it for. It's like that's not how the market works. What you do is you need to figure out what does the market want, and then you need to provide that. So if we go to, let's say we're using, you know, agency owners as an example, right? If I'm saying, oh, do you want to buy high level? Do you want to buy WordPress? Do you want to buy this coaching package? The answer is going to be no. But if I say, hey, what are you struggling with? So when I built my coaching program, this is what I did. I brought 10 people on for 100% free. I coached them all one on one for 8 weeks. And I would figure out what they had issues with. And then I would prescribe them solutions. And then I would take all the issues that all 10 people gave me and I'd ordered it chronologically. So then I could say, hey, when I coached 10 people, this was problem number one that they had. So when I go to market it, I now know from 10 people the issues that they have in this space. And because I've helped all 10 people, I have a good idea of what they want. So now I can go to other agency owners and I go, hey, this is usually problem one. Is this problem one for you? And they go, yeah, it is. And that's where the order came from. That's why it goes, you have to select the niche, you have to understand the offer, you have to create the low ticket funnel, or the low drag funnel rather. Then you have to create content to show people you know what you're talking about. Then you have to manually push that content because we don't rely on the algorithm. Then you go to the sales call once you actually get them on. Then once you work with them, you build the case study. The case study goes right back to step 3, which is put into the content. And then step 7 is automate the process, simplify. This is a SASO process: simplify, automate, scale, and optimize the process. And so once I work with 10 people, I was like, okay, cool. I have my steps down. And then because I went through 8 weeks of just market research, very aggressive market research, then when I launched the coaching program with no ads, nothing, just word of mouth, just a few Facebook DMs because people would DM me for help all the time. Just from that, I was able to go from 0 students to within 3 or 4 months, I went from 0 to 60 students like that fast. And then when I started actually marketing, I went from 60 to 94 in 1 month just from running the YouTube stuff. But it was all from every piece of content I created was me listening and saying, what issues are they having? Let me make content on what issues they're having. And so it's just listening to the market. And I'll see this all the time with like you probably see this too in Facebook groups. People are like, oh, who needs a website? If we don't connect it, like why do they need the website, right? So I call this the 5 whys. And I didn't make this up. This is like basic project management stuff, 5 whys, but I use it to like a marketing perspective. So people think you need a website. And I'll ask the students, I'll be like, why do you need a website? Well, websites make money, don't they? No. So why do you need a website? Well, you need a website to say what we do. Okay, cool. When we say what we do, what is the point of doing that? Well, it's to show we know what we're doing. We show we can provide this service. Okay, what's the point of doing that? To establish credibility. What's the point of doing that? To increase conversion. Oh, so we find out very quickly that every B2B offer is about making money. Every single one. It's either you're making more revenue, you're saving more profit, or you are saving them time so they can either make the same amount of money in less time or they have more time to make more money. But even like people tell me like, well, I work with VAs. Like I'm a VA agency. How does that make money? How does that make them money? Well, it doesn't, but it saves them money because they're saving money on cost. So now they can keep more of the revenue they bring in, right? I'm a business coach. How does that make them money? Because they understand how to make money faster, right? They understand they can maybe a business therapist. How does that help them make money? Because they're not going crazy up here. They can focus, right? So everything has to tie back to you're helping them make money in one way, shape, or form. But that's essentially the offer creation. Just talk to them. And it's a lot of what I say, I'll say this before I stop talking, but a lot of what I say and a lot of what works, it's so simple, it's almost stupid. But we as entrepreneurs, we love connecting the dots, but we're very bad sometimes at showing people how do we connect the dots. So we look for these crazy out of the box solutions, and then we think every solution has to be crazy convoluted, and I have to invent no, talk to them, give them what they want, make sure they're happy with it, talk to them on a regular basis, and then if there's something wrong, fix it. If they love it, create a case study. And it truly is that simple. But we get so bogged down in the details that we lose sight of that.
Awesome breakdown. Like you have already simplified the process of offer creation. Like it's all about not just assuming the stuff, what we think. It's all about just taking a decision based on the data. So you're sharing so many golden nuggets like to take away from this interview show today. So as you're mentioning about your SASO framework, so can
Mhm.
you break down your SASO framework, like which stands for simplify, automate, scale, and optimize? And
Mhm.
can you share this framework, how this is playing a major role growing your own agency?
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is the framework I put together when I was actually driving 90 minutes to that job and driving 90 minutes back. So I've actually used this framework to take my normal jobs when I was working like in person. So I would take these jobs and I wanted to figure out, and this is like very entrepreneur of me, right? Entrepreneurs are very lazy, right? Entrepreneurs do not want to work hard, they want to work smart. So what I found was when you're going through the process, what I found through quite a bit of like, frustrating learning curves on my own was the first thing that we have to do is we have to document the process. So when I went to a new job, every time I went to a new job, and I was also in the army for 6 years. So anytime I went to a new location, it was always confusing to me why they would do things in such a bad order, right? So the first thing we do is simplify. So it's like, let's simplify the process. So what does that mean? Document the whole process. And when we look at and do it on paper, or you can do a mind map like on Canva, you can, map it out, right? A whiteboard, map it out any way you like. But when you do that, you're going to see, okay, cool. Why are we doing certain steps? Like we could skip this step and get rid of this altogether. And what if we did this step before? What if we changed the order? Would it go faster? And so the first thing we want to do is when we jot down the process, and the easiest way to do this, by the way, because people go, how do I do this? Document the next client you work with. Do a journal, a video journal, write it down, document it. Step one, I did this. Step two, I do this. Step three, I did this. When the client complains, okay, client complained about XYZ. When you jot that whole down, you're going to go, okay, how can I reorganize this whole thing to be simple and remove anything that I can remove any waste, right? If you're like, I have my process and then you realize, oh, I didn't ask the client for domain access, that needs to get put back in the process. So you simplify the process, right? Once you simplify the process, how can we automate it so you're not doing the work? And when we automate the process, we basically we look at every task, right? And we color code it one of three ways. So the first thing I'll do is I'll color code anything that can be done with software as green, right? It doesn't matter what color, but just, for example. So green is anything that can be automated with software. So Zapier, High Level, Pabbly, 828, IFTTT, like whatever software, automate it, right? Even if you have to go out of your way to make your own complicated automation with, webhooks, whatever, right? What can I automate using software? That gets green. The next color, what requires a human touch, but not my touch? So if it's secretarial work, I don't need to be doing that. So that all gets color coded as yellow. Yellow means I'm going to delegate it to a contractor, to an employee, to somebody who's not me. And then red is everything that I need to do. So my face has to be in content. I can't pay somebody else to wear my face and be in content. If I need to be in a meeting, I can't pay somebody else to, be my proxy in a meeting. I need to be in those meetings. So everything that's green gets automated, everything that's yellow gets delegated, and everything that's red becomes my work. And so what have I done there? I took the process, simplified it, and now I've automated it. Now, the reason that we go in this order is very important. If you automate before you simplify, you're going to waste money on automations and you're going to waste money on delegations because you've automated a process that isn't efficient. So now you're paying somebody to do an extra task that doesn't need to be there, which means you're paying more per automation or you're paying somebody more because they're working longer. So that's why simplify comes before automate. Now we automate next. What that automation does is it's going to free up a lot of your time and it's going to help you create, as you simplify and automate, it helps you create your SOP, your process, your procedure. This is very important because the next step is scale. If you scale before you automate, and this is what happens a lot with clients, right? Clients will come to you and they'll say, I don't need a client retention model. I just want more clients. And this is what I tell them every time. And I tell the students too. If I send you 100 clients tomorrow, can you handle it? And the answer is always no. They either know it or they don't know it, but they'll say, no, I can't. That's why we automate before. And if they say, oh, yes, I can. Cool. Let's look at your system. Okay. You have no automated calendar booking. You have no automated this. You have no automated that. So if I send you 100 clients tomorrow, you're going to fail. And if you don't, for those of you that don't know, bad reviews come from bad fulfillment. Because if you say I can do this and you don't do it, if you say I'm open and you're not open, if you say, hey, we're nice and we're not nice, if you don't do what you said you're going to do, you're going to get a bad review. So automation has to come before scale because it ensures that the process is done right, systemized, and it ensures that you have enough time in your day. And this is very important. If you don't want to get stuck working in your business, you need to work on your business. So you have to delegate the stuff that's not your human touch. And here's why. A lot of people go, oh, well, I want to work on it, not in it. But they don't realize that it takes increments or iterations rather before you get to that point. So once you free up your time, here's what's going to happen. When you go to scale and you have a lot of traffic coming in, which is, and I'll explain how to scale, but once you go to scale, you need to be free to put out the fires because fires are going to pop up. You may have thought I automated it really well, and maybe something fell apart. Maybe a employee didn't show up to work. Maybe a contractor didn't do his or her job, right? So you have to be ready, and that's why we free up the time. So you have to be ready to take over and either do the work or take over and redelegate that work, right? Now, when we go to scale, scaling is very easy. All we're going to do is say what's working that's getting us clients. How, and this is Alex Hormozy 101, 10x what you're doing. So if you're making content and it's working, 10x your content, 10x the quality, 10x the outputs. And people go, well, how do I have time for that? Well, what do we do in step one or step two? Automate. You just free up a bunch of your time. So now you have way more time to actually do it. So that's why it comes before. If you're running ads, run more ads, test more ads. And then this is like a bodybuilder, right? Scale and optimize go together, but they go back to back. So a bodybuilder, if he wants more muscle, he has to gain weight and then he has to trim fat and keep the muscle. So when you're scaling, you're going to gain muscle, but you're also going to gain fat. And the fat is the unoptimized campaign. So it's an ad campaign that didn't do well. It's a social media category that people don't like. It's content that failed, right? So once you have scaled and you have enough traction and traffic, you can say, okay, cool. Now I have enough data and I can look at the numbers. And now that I can look at the numbers, this is good. I'm going to keep it. That's muscle. This is bad. I'm going to get rid of it. That's fat. So you got to lose the fat. And now in optimization, you're going to lose a little growth, but you're going to retain more of your profits because you've cut out the costs that are not doing well, right? And so you can't optimize before you scale because basic statistics tells you that as the sample size approaches population size, your information becomes more accurate. So if you try to optimize too early, you may cut a winning campaign because you didn't have enough traffic. If you change your funnel too early, you may have just ruined your conversion rate because you cut it too early. So you have to scale and get a really nice amount of traffic in before you start cutting the fat. So that's the SASO process. So simplify, get rid of the waste, document the process, automate the process to free up time and to make sure that you have an actual business system. You're not a freelancer stuck in the business. Scale, now it's time to gain the weight, cut the fat, and then you repeat. So once you've done the full process, now you go back to the beginning. How can I further simplify? How can I further automate? So I'm doing less of the work, now less of the managerial work. Now I'm just doing leadership. And then how can I further scale, further optimize, and then repeat and repeat and repeat until you can finally pluck yourself out of the business. So that's the SASO process. That's the full process I use to work my 9 to 5 jobs. I'd work 1 or 2 hours a day using that process because I'd go through it. And then the other, 6, 7 hours a day, I would just sit there like doing nothing, or I'd go to the gym, or I was basically just on standby. And then when a fire popped up, right? Hey, someone didn't show up to work. Hey, we don't have this or that. Guess what? I have all the free time in the world to say, oh, I will come and help you. And then they go, wow, he's such a good boss because he helps me. But really, I automated everything. So it's like I have all this time. And then by doing that and being a good boss, what happens? People want to work with you. They love working with you. They stay working with you, right? Because they're like, wow, nobody else, no, I've never had a boss who comes and helps me. But I can do that because of the say so process.
Love it, man. Like the framework you have mentioned, like it's easy, like and step by step. If you even break in single step, we will just fall it down. So I love the process that you have shared. Like any business can implement the process to scale from.
Mhm.
So it's
And this
100.
is like, this is very like Six Sigma. So if you guys know Six Sigma, it came out of Motorola. I'm pretty sure it was Japan. I may be sounding silly, but I'm pretty sure it came out of Japan from Motorola. And these guys were like, how can we be the most efficient production facility? As they mastered that process, people started taking it into Agile Six Sigma, which is more of a team-based level. And they have like 7 or 8 steps. I can't remember it quite well. But I took it and I said, how can I apply this to a local service-based business? Because that's what I was working in. And so that say-so process is basically my adaptation, a very simple adaptation, because like I said, I was in the military, so I have the army brain, so I got to keep it simple. So the very simple adaptation of this agile process is the say-so cyclical, I call it the 4-step cyclical cycle.
Awesome, awesome. Like as you have mentioned earlier, like we're entrepreneurs so lazy that we like do the smart work rather than the hard work, like being it way more long. So really love it,
Yeah.
man, how you explain the process of CISO. And I just have another questions regarding like SaaS and SWAS. So in your
Mhm.
experience, so what separates the SaaS, like software as a service, with
Yeah.
SWAS, like software with a service? So how
Mhm.
software with a service can be hyper profitable for a marketing agency rather than only providing service, software as a service?
Yeah. So the key difference between the two is the additional service. However, even in SaaS alone, this is where a lot of people, especially in the high level space, they mess up. They go, "This is my SaaS company. I'm reselling my SaaS company, and I just once they get the account, they're super happy. Boom, done." No, wrong. This could not be further from the truth. And this is one of the number one reasons why when they go to scale and market, everything falls apart. And they go, "What happened?" And then they go, well, I listened to so and so and what he told me, and it didn't work and it failed. This is why what I do is a $0 client acquisition model where I focus strictly on social media because a lot of people will tell you, hey, do this to grow your business, right? Run SaaS. It's just SaaS. Tell them high level is your software, and then it fails. The reason it fails is because a lot of individuals, not everybody, there's quite a few really good guys out there, but a lot of the guys in the high level space, they tell you how to run a business that they have never run themselves. So when you go to use their methods that have never worked and are strictly theoretical or hypothetical, it's not going to work because once the tire hits the road, the tire goes pop. It's flat, right? They've never done any actual testing, right? So that's where my model comes in and allows you to test for $0 because no matter what happens, you'll always have $0, right? If you have $1 million, you have $0. If you have no money, you have no money. So it works either way, right? So the big difference between SaaS and SWAS is the additional work, but that's the difference. Additional work. SaaS still has work. So if we look at SaaS, number one, if we're using a high level, we are not selling SaaS. We are reselling SaaS. And this is very important because you can use tools like builtwith.com and I can look at your website and I can say right away, he's using high level. And so what happens if you get in an interview and you go, this is my software? And they go, really? Because this says you're using high level. So you just got caught lying, right? And that's not a good way to start a business relationship. So what we do is we say, listen, we resell high level, we package it into other software. So if you're in blue collar, we're going to do high level and we're going to integrate it with Service Titan using Zapier. It's like, oh, now I took two software that I'm reselling and I added a connecting piece, right? The Zapier. And now I have my own mini software stack. So no, this is not a true software stack, but I have my own custom solution that you can't buy on the market. You'd have to go to somebody, you have to explain, I want this and this, you have to connect it, right? But guess what? I'm already providing that. So why would you go somewhere else? So all of a sudden, even in reselling SaaS, we create our own market by having those custom integrations. And because we're not committed to a single software, what can we do? Remember the example where I said, do you want to buy this pen? The answer is no. So a lot of people go, hey, you want to buy a high level? No. But what if I said, what are you trying to do in your business? And then I go through the SASO process and I simplify your entire process. And I go, now I want to automate your process. But guess what? I'm not stuck to using just high level. I go, okay, you're a wedding photographer. We're going to use high level. We're going to use Zapier and we're going to integrate it with a wedding videographer or photographer software called The Knot because I'm not committed. So I can go to any software I want to give you exactly what you need. And like, oh yeah, I've heard of The Knot. I'm like, yeah. So me, instead of me saying, come buy this random software, I can say, what are you trying to do? Cool. Here's the three pieces of software that we're going to use to integrate into your business. And so now, because it's a custom solution and nobody else is doing what I'm doing, at SaaS, you can start charging 2, 4, 5, 9.97 every single month because there's no software doing that. So you create your own market of one, right? And then, of course, the case studies leverage it. So the big difference between SaaS and SWAS, it's not just the service that goes with it, it's the additional service. So when you do SaaS, you still need support. If you want to reduce your churn, you had better do the onboarding with them. You have to onboard them. You have to make sure everything is done with them because if they could have done it themselves, they would have never talked to you. So you can't tell them, hey, I have a software for you. Good luck. No, hey, we're going to onboard it. We're going to make sure it's happy. We're going to check in with you every 2 weeks. And we have an open line of communication, which you can do in WhatsApp. You can give them a Slack channel. You can give them an email, a phone number, right? Whatever their preferred communication method is to make sure they actually use it. Anytime you need a change, you DM our team. We fix it for you within 24 hours. That's how you truly do reselling SaaS, right? Because again, there's a big difference between SaaS and reselling SaaS. So if we look at SWAS, now what you're doing is you're saying, okay, we have the software, we have your custom solution that we put out for you, and what I call that is basically the client retention model. So how can I retain clients? That's what the reselling SaaS does. High level retains clients. Zoho retains clients. The website brings them in, and then you need some kind of back end solution to retain them, right? The email marketing, the automations, the check-ins, the pipeline, all of that. It just retains the clients. So that's what I'd say is the SaaS or the reselling SaaS level is that client. I call it the client retention model. And then SWAS is your client acquisition model. So now you're saying, hey, we have a system built in place to retain everybody we push to you, right? If I send you 100 clients, now you can handle it. Now let's start flooding traffic. Now let's start getting you some crazy, crazy numbers coming in the funnel. That's where you go from the SaaS to the SWAS level. And again, I moved away from those terms and I'd say client retention model to client acquisition model just because people go like, it's not technically, it's like, I don't care, right? So that's why I moved to the client acquisition model and client retention model. So client acquisition is now we have the system put in place. Now let's do our localized SEO. Now let's do our Google verified. Now let's do our PPC campaigns. Now let's do our meta retargeting. Now let's do our email marketing. Now let's do our SMS marketing for our existing clients. And now that we have the system put in place, all it is people come in and boom, they're hitting those automations and all this runs without us lifting a single finger. And it becomes really easy to promote because in the past you would need somebody to do all this manual work. You probably need 2 or 3 people. We can automate this whole thing for less than, and this is where the pricing comes in, right? I can do this without anybody. So you don't need to hire anybody extra. So think about hiring one person in the United States, one person minimum wage. You're probably looking at 2 to 3,000 a month, depending on the state. Then you have the overhead, which is about 20%. So you're looking at, let's just say low end 2,000. It's much more, but let's say low end 2,000. I can come in and say, hey, I have a client retention model. It is going to do more than one minimum wage employee, significantly more. It's going to run 24/7. It doesn't go to sleep. It doesn't take bathroom breaks. It doesn't take a lunch break. There's no laws against it working because it's software, right? It's like making a joke about that's better than a secretary or something. And then from there, because it's going to save you all this money and make you all this money, that's why I can price it at $9.97 a month because I've compared it to the alternative, which is having a person do this. But guess what? That person's going to want time off. That person's going to want bathroom. I mean, legally, they need bathroom breaks. They need lunch breaks, right? Like, who doesn't, right? But I can have the software come in, do all this for you, and make you money. And it just comes in at $1,000 a month. And it's a tailored solution around you. Like, and so that's how you get them to say, that's how you make it to where they can't say no because you have a SaaS and a SWAS offer depending on what they want. You've listened to the industry, you've created the offer around what they want, and then you've made them visualize, hey, option 1, human being. They cost this much money, you have to train them, you have to do this, maybe they leave, maybe they quit, maybe they, whatever. Option 2, my software, a third of the price, works 24/7 and makes you money. And you don't have to train it because that's what I do. So I
Was
like the SWAS and SaaS, I moved from that to client retention model to client acquisition model. True SaaS is go out and use JavaScript and write your own code and build it. And again, I had a guy, I'll tell you one funny story. I had a guy reach out to me and he said, hey, can you look at this software I just built? Because he was doing true SaaS. And I said, yeah, send it over. He sends me over the funnel. He sends me over the video. I'm looking at it. This was 2023, by the way. I'm looking at it. I go, this looks just like Linktree. You know Linktree, right? He goes, this looks just like Linktree. Or I said, this looks just like Linktree. He goes, yeah, it's just like Linktree. I'm like, Linktree came out in like 2012. I'm like, you're 10 years behind. And he was like, what's the problem? I said, the problem is, why would anybody buy this over Linktree? And you're more expensive than Linktree. Why would anybody go to you? And I wasn't saying that to put him down, but I was saying, like, do you have an answer for that? Because that's going to be the number one objection. And he didn't have an answer. He got really upset. But the fact of the matter is, he was trying to sell the pen and he wasn't trying to figure out what they want to buy. So even in SaaS, this still applies. If you're creating your own software, what does the market want? Or where is there an opening for the market? Or where can you be more efficient? And then that should be the SaaS solution. But for what I'm doing with reselling SaaS versus SWAS, I move to the client retention and client acquisition. Because even there, what I can do is I can get them in on the client retention model, right? Low ticket. And then I can upsell them to the client acquisition. So I can say, hey, how are you liking it? Oh, I love it, but I want more traffic. Okay, cool. What if we move in here? So it's a nice upsell. And some people don't even want to do the client acquisition. They just want the client retention. So I say, cool, just stay there. If they want more traffic, you have high level. You can invite whatever marketing team that you recommend them to be users on high level. And the best part is those companies will pay you for the hot lead because you're basically giving them a lead on a plate. right? So they'll pay you 10, 20% as a referral link or a referral of a hot referral, not a warm one, not a cold one.
Yeah, awesome, man. Like the breakdown of SWAS and SAS. Like
Mhm.
remember the expenses when I got started, like almost 2 years back as an affiliate. So what I did, like I started promoting a hosting platform by providing free website template services. Like I offer my client as a free website template. Grab these things with my affiliate link, I'll provide it as a free. So that's how I got
Mhm.
started on the affiliate marketing space. And the lucky thing is that I have also got some actual client from that. Like the client jumped into just to grab the template, and I shared it and even just customized it as a bonus. But what happened, the client personally offered me a couple $100 just to do this stuff. So that was my starting point. And as you mentioned, like so many things I can resonate with, like reinventing the wheel. Like on my university life, I also started learning about the coding stuff like JavaScript, Python, that's stuff to build the actual SAS. But what happened on the stage, I was learning some basic information like how to build this type like simple website, how to print hello
Right.
world, something like that. So like after that I realized there's people already built the things that we want to do, so there is already the things already done for us. So like go high level builder, all that you can easily use to fast track the process. So why it's necessary to reinvent the wheel? So I love the process that you have shared regarding SWAS model. Like eventually one of my clients is still paying me over a year because like when
Yep.
I started as an affiliate, I provided him website building service. Then that client is still using that software and is paying me recurring commission over a year until now. So SWAS model
Yep.
definitely is
And you
hyper
can
profitable.
even
Sorry.
and what you can even like once you get past the SaaS and SWAS stuff, you can even say, "Hey, I'm going to charge a setup fee." So now you can have a high ticket kickoff and then a Can you hear
Oh,
me?
again, that happens. Um, yeah,
No, you're fine. So what I was saying is the with the subscription, you can get like $100 a month, and that can become a $1,200 a year client. But instead of saying pay me 1,200, you can do 100 a month. So that's a little bit more digestible, right? But you can also say, hey, I can set this all up for you for 2,000, 3. I've closed clients between my fee is between 4 and 10,000. So I've closed a $10,000 client, and then he pays me 297 a month after that. So I get the best of both worlds, right? So the SaaS is nice, the high, and you still get the high ticket. And then from the 297, I can say, hey, if you want me to run ads or do SEO or PPC, it could be 1,000 a month. It can be 1,500 a month. It can be 2,000. So it's a really nice way to monetize it. And you don't have to feel slimy or grimy about it because you look at the market and you price yourself a little bit above them, right? So I don't have to say like, oh, I'm charging you 10,000 and I'm taking advantage. No, it's like I've done this before. I have case studies. I can validate why I charge that much. People don't mind paying it because they want they want similar results and the quality is there. And so that's a whole nother topic about the pricing. But the payment model, I'm able to use high ticket plus recurring, either at a retainer for the software and entry services or a retainer for a higher ticket services. So it's a really, really nice way to monetize very quickly.
yeah, absolutely. Like on the starting, I was trying so many different other things, like just like this, like selling the free website stuff. That's where
Mhm.
I realized I wasted so many times to figure out the things by myself. And I believe
Mhm.
that's why we definitely need a mentor to guide us to go through the same process so that we can fast track the
Here's what I can say. Yeah, here's what I can say about the mentor thing because I to this. So here's what I'll preface. Let me preface this too. I used to hate mentors, and I'm not gonna say now I love them. There's so many fakes out there, so you need to make sure that you really vet them. You need to make sure you can actually verify what they're telling you. You need to make sure. Once you've done that, once you feel safe, here's what I'll tell you. And this you mentioned this too. You said with the coding, they were teaching you how to do things that were already out there. When I went to school, they were teaching me how to do things that they understood, right? people can, so this is the quote that I'll give, right? People can only teach you what they already know. So if they don't know how to grow a multi-million dollar business, don't listen to them because they can only teach you what they know. So if they start speaking on, I've grown a multi-million dollar business. Okay, have you? No. Here's how to imagine. Here's how to go swimming. Can you swim? No. Here's how to lose 200 pounds. Have you lost 200 pounds? No. Why would I listen to you, right? So people can only teach you what they themselves actually know and have done. So when it comes to the coaches, like for me, that job where I was driving 90 minutes each way, when I got there, it was at 800 and it was I was like it was mid $800,000 contract. I took it from an $800,000 contract to 1.2 million, and then we landed 11 additional locations. So we basically 12x'd the entire contract. Now the other contracts weren't as big, so I don't want to say straight 12x, but I added quite a few commas to their pockets, right? So I can say, here's how we did this. And this is Alex Hormozy 101. If you don't want to be an imposter, only speak on what you've actually done. Don't say, here's how to grow $1 million business if you've never done that. Don't say, here's how to get a perfect camera quality if you've never done that, right? Don't say things you've never done. So that being said, when you go to learn from people who said, I've actually done it before. Now it's your job to make sure you don't listen to the lies that a lot of people put out there, and you need to understand, how do I know he or she actually did what they said? How can I verify that? For me, I'll show screenshots. I'll say, here's my stuff, here's my information, and I'll put in my content, listen, you can fake all this stuff. So please do your research. Like, I can fake the screenshots I show you. Did I? No. But again, I could be lying. So I tell people, you need to fact check everything, but you can only learn from what people have told you. So, for example, I love college. College is a great resource for a lot of people. But if you're going to college to learn marketing, why wouldn't I just go work with a marketer who's making $1 million a month? Now that's easier said than done. You have to basically, and I tell people, like, if you find somebody who knows what they can do and they can do it well and they can teach you, you had better claw your way into a position to work with them. Like I had a kid reach out to me and he was like, I want to learn from you for free. And I'm like, why would I help you? Because that takes time out of my day. And he's like, oh, I can do edits. And then he sent me the edits and they were like, they're not very good. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you how to do this better, right? If you want it, you will find a way to be valuable to me, right? I've told people, like, you want to work with that person, offer to do their laundry, offer to pick up their dogs from the vet, offer to go do their dry cleaning, offer to clean their house. Like, you need to claw your way into a position where you can learn from people. But if you can get under the wing of somebody who's done it before, for me, learning the SASO process, I can translate it to you in 5 minutes. That took 3 years of, like, it sounds so simple, but imagine 3 years of just hitting your head against the wall over and over again. And now hitting it, it's like, oh, cool. Now I'll start my agency. Now I'll hit 20K within 5 months. But it's like that was years of learning through indirect life experience. So if you can, when it comes to a mentor, I'm strongly a fan of getting a mentor, but I'm very, very, and I tell other people the same, be extremely cautious of who you go to work with. I know people who teach what I teach, not as well because they haven't really done it before, and they charge $6,000 for what I charge, free to affiliates for. I've kicked people out of my community because they'll come in, learn my stuff, and then they go to try to teach it to other people. And I'm like, but you're teaching somebody something you've never done. It's gonna burn your reputation online. Don't do it. So that's my big thing with the mentors. People can only teach what they know. So make sure that they actually know what they're talking about through experience, right? That's going to be your best. If you want to learn, if you want to go as fast as possible, stop this side business, learn from somebody immediately, do what they tell you, apply your own personality. You're going to learn as you go. You're going to fail as you go. The failing is important because that's going to give you the emotional drive to say, what do I need to do better? And if you're a true entrepreneur, you'll find a way around it. It's going to suck, but you'll find a way around it.
Yeah, I can resonate with you 100%. Like on the starting, like I've gone so many coaches and mentors. Like the social media is full of different coaches. Most of them are maybe scam affiliates. They are just trying to sell how people are making money doing this, doing that. But they're not teaching how they are doing it. So that's what I hate mostly
Yeah.
about the space of high ticket affiliate marketing stuff. Maybe selling the same thing into throwing the same thing to the peoples.
It's
So
like 90% scams because what they do is they'll say, if they're saying, here's how to make money online, the question is, are you using the same model? So for me, I have two offers, right? I have SASO University, which is my DIY, DWI. It's a group coaching environment with training materials. And we meet up twice a week. And it's all about how to scale your own digital agency, right? Now, if I were just doing that, I'm kind of getting into the scam space because it's like, well, wait a minute, you're making money by telling us what to do, but you're not making money the way that you're telling us to make money. But again, SASO University is one offer. I have SASO Funnels, which is my main business, where I actually work with clients doing what I tell people to do. So I'm saying, hey, guy, I'm not saying, hey, go do this. I'm saying, I'm doing this. If you want to copy me, here's exactly what I'm doing in my actual business, SASO Funnels. And so by doing that, and again, I think there's a lot of good guys out there in the high level space, in the affiliate space, in the high ticket space, but there's not very many who are doing what I'm doing. There are some, and they're really learning from has either done it really well, and then maybe he sold the business off, or she retired, and then they taught you, or they're doing it while they're teaching you, right? So for me, I fall into the latter category. I'm running my own agency, and I'm showing people, hey, here's how to do the same. And I didn't even, here's a funny story. I didn't even want to do this. I was actually engaging in all these groups, and somebody was like, how do I do this or that? And I was like, no, 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 do this instead, because this is what works for me. And they're like, okay, what about this? And I was like, yeah, do this instead. And on one thread, I had 31 people message me and they're like, I want you to teach me. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, what? Like imagine 31 times the affiliate commission, which is 38.80 or 118.80 or 198.80, right? I was like, one post, I had 31 people reach out to me and I was like, wait, but I'm doing SEO funnels. Like I'm working with agencies. But I was like, but there's a demand. Like they were literally demanding, please coach me. I will pay you. And I was like, huh. And that was April. So I built the program out in June after the 8 week. So it was April, May. That was the 8 week coaching program I was telling you about earlier. June, we launched with 10 members. And now today we're at close to 100. And I've done no marketing until the last month. I've only marketed for 1 month. Got to about 50, 60 people with no marketing, just word of mouth. And people were like, teach me, coach me, help me. I put out 6 YouTube videos, push them manually using the same models that I'm teaching people. The create your content, step 3, manually push it, step 4, doubled my recurring revenue just off of SASO University alone. So yeah, learn from people who actually know what they're doing because they've done it or they're doing it. But if they have not done it, and if they're not doing it, don't listen to them because it's just too big a risk, I think.
absolutely, it completely makes sense. Like you have really put some wise wisdom on here regarding mentorship, like choosing the perfect mentor, like at least a good mentor to uh, stay ahead. Are you still with me? Hi, Alec. Are you still with me? I guess you're muted.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you already put some wise wisdom on here, like choosing the right mentor to fast track the process of like. I just want to share my experience. Like, I was also going through like on the YouTube to search for to get more in detail idea about the niches. Then I found a video, and the amount of value you have put on that video, I cannot resist myself to join your SASO University. Like that's how I reached to you to connect with you. And man, you're really over delivering the things that you're doing on your SASO University to like with a minimum price, you are dropping a huge amount of value that on the university or starting a business from scratch. So I really appreciate the things that you're doing like on your university. So if anyone wants to join with the SASO University, I'd highly recommend that. And if you want to reach Alec, I will drop the link on the comment of this video so you can check out the
Mhm.
link to join the SASO University. So I don't want to take much of your time. I just have maybe one final questions.
Sure,
So
sure.
for our audiences who are planning to start their own SaaS and marketing agency, what is one piece of advice you'd like to leave for them?
The best thing that I can tell you is the money should be viewed as a game. So you should treat the business bank account, the funding account, the money that the clients bring in, you need to treat it not like monopoly money, but almost like a game. Because this is the number one issue I see from new people and from the early stages. So I mentioned before, the number one problem people know they have is the niche. The number one problem people don't know they have is the offer creation. And the number one mental problem, the mental barrier that people have is looking at the money objectively because they start getting the money in and they start going, I got to keep it. I got to hoard it. No, you need to leverage it. You need to turn it into more money. And you only do that by reinvesting in yourself, in your education, in your equipment, in your quality, in all of that. So, when starting, if you let's say you haven't started yet, I have a YouTube video on my page where I show you how to start a high level agency or even just any agency with $0. So not even paying for software. So the number one thing I can tell you is when you're starting, create social media content free, have a wait list, and you can DM people. You can have the wait list in your stories, in your comments, in your posts, and you can say, "Hey, I'm going to offer a lifetime value deal for 1,000, for 2,000, but it's only for your first 10 to 20 clients." And so once you have a wait list of about 20 to 30 people, now you know you have about, let's say you have 20 people, so I'll use a lower number, and let's say you say a $1,000 lifetime value, so I'll use the lower number on both ends to be realistic. Now you have $20,000 in your pipeline. Now, when you reach out to them, they're not all going to sign up. Maybe three or four, right? I would love all 20 to sign up, but let's say three or four. Now you have $3,000 or $4,000 to where you can now go and get the software and provide the solution. You can now upgrade your high level account. You can now start your high level account. You can now use WordPress Elementor. You can now, whatever you're going to do. I'm going to recommend high level because it's just, you pay a flat rate. If you could have 10,000 customers, you pay one flat rate. You never pay a penny more than $297 or $497 if you have the higher account, but it has unlimited clients. So your profit margins are nasty. They're so good. So you go and get your high level. I'll say sign up under me because I'm going to coach you through the actual business growing part. Don't sign up under anybody who does tech support because you can go on YouTube. I can YouTube right now how to do this in high level. So why would I pay for a course that's going to be outdated as soon as high level updates, right? I want to learn from somebody who's grown the company, right? It doesn't have to be me. I'm one of those people, but look for somebody who can drive that value in the actual business growth. But you get the wait list, social media, it's all free, $0, the 3 to 4,000. Now you set up the business. Now you set up the business bank account. Now you have money to cover your software fees for at least 3 or 4 months. Let's say you go to the most expensive plan, at least 3 or 4 months. The rest of the money, you don't pocket it. You say, cool, now I need to reinvest in higher camera quality, right? If you look at my first couple of posts of social media, they're terrible. And then I got a nice camera, a nice setup. I had a friend teach quality. So I'm reinvesting. And so as you're running your things, you won't learn. Oh, I think I lost you.
Yeah, I guess we got back. So am I audible?
Yeah, I got you back. So you take all the money that comes in, you reinvest it into the business, but you have to treat it like a game. Do not pay yourself too early. It's like if a tree is growing, if you start pruning it too early or plucking the fruit too early, you might kill it. So let it grow, shape it before you start plucking the fruit off, right? So that's the best thing I can tell you is treat the money like a game. The reason I say this is two reasons. I met a guy who spent $38,000 on coaching, on software. He didn't make any of it back because he just kept thinking, I got to spend more to learn. No. So start with $0. I had a client who was making great money with me. As he was making good money, I said, cool, we need to set up the business legally. We need to do all these things. He was making $30,000, $40,000 a month. Okay. I asked him to spend $400. That's it. I helped him make 30, 40,000 every month. I said, spend $400 on getting legally set up. Guess what he said? No. And guess what happened? He has to work two jobs now because he can't report any of his income because he didn't set up legally. And it's like, all you had to do was spend $400 to get it set up. It wasn't hard. And he got so greedy and scared that he didn't want to reinvest the money. So treat it like monopoly money, do the right thing, look at it objectively. It's very hard to do. That's why it's sometimes nice to have a friend or a mentor say, do this, do that, because you're going to be attached to the money. It's your business. It's your baby, right? So you're going to be very attached to it. Even if you're, I'm not saying greedy, but you're going to be attached because you're like, this is my hard work. But you have to reinvest, 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 reinvest. Then when you get to a point where you can say, cool, I have enough money to quit my job and do this full time for 1 year without a single additional client, now you start paying yourself and you don't touch the business bank account money unless, and you have to be very strict with it. But if you can treat this whole thing like a game, you'll never fail. And that's why I love the $0 method, because I can restart right now. And I'm actually going to, in the next month or two, I'm going to start a new SaaS company for $0. And I'm going to show everybody using my own models, starting from scratch in 2024, how to start a SaaS and SWAS company. And I'm going to do it for free, showing you guys if you treat it like a game, you can start whenever you want, you can stop whenever you want. And it doesn't cost you a single penny. But if you jump in there like spending your life savings on it, don't do that. It's for me, I told you Gary V, right? I went thrift shopping and I found a mason jar bottle in the shape of George Washington, right? Like the first United States president. I bought it for $2.50. I did research on eBay. It was worth $500 to $800. I said, there's no way. So I sold it for 500. I put it on the 500. I said, no one's going to buy this. 2 hours later, somebody purchased it for $600 with shipping. I was like, what? So I play like a game. I turned $2.50 into 21.1K a month. And you can get 250 by walking on the street and picking up coins. Right? You can find 250 anywhere, but you can even start for free using the method where you create the wait list, you have the lifetime value, you kickstart it. If you're tech savvy, you do the work. If you're not tech savvy, you take the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, you take some of it and you pay somebody on Fiverr or a VA buddy if you have a buddy who's technical, and you pay him to do the work for you. I don't know to high level as well as my team. My team knows high level much better than me. But guess what? I'm the one bringing in the money, and then I tell them, hey, can you do this or that? And they're a phenomenal team. So the best advice, if you treat the whole business like a game, if you treat the money like a game, and if you spend $0, make that a challenge for you. How can I spend $0 to get started? If you treat it like that, you'll never burn out because it's never your money. It's never, this money could have fed my family. This money could have fed my children. This money could have fixed my car. It's never that, because if you treat it like a game from day one, folks say, I will spend $0 of my own money. If that becomes a challenge, it actually becomes fun. It becomes very fun because you never lose any money.
Yeah, absolutely. Like as you have mentioned, like most of the people like me, like when I started, like I had that fear of losing money, maybe investing. Even most of the people has that fear of losing, spending $1 on a maybe program that might help them to learn something, to maybe grow, help them to grow more, but they didn't take the action because of their fear. So they're where the lag behind. And I feel like I was also stuck on the same place a year or 2 years ago, like in the same position where I was trying to learn the things for completely for free, searching here and there. And then I realized I need to go
Yep.
through the step-by-step process. And the things you have shared, like on your SASO University, like as I've recently joined, but I can completely understand the value that you have completely providing us completely for free. Like that's completely insane. So if anyone
Mhm.
is having any plan, maybe to learn more about starting your own agency business, or maybe into start from fresh, I'll drop the links in the video description below. You can check out to connect with Alec Roy. So you can easily reach out to him to access
Mhm.
his SASO University with a, like just with a software purchase like the Go High Level. So I'll come to the
Mhm.
part regarding the offer.
And
Like,
and
yeah.
Yeah. And what I'll say is I'll tell people like on my YouTube, I have a lot of free stuff to get you started. So you don't even have to pay me. To join SASO University, it's free. It's free to any affiliate of high level. So you will actually never have to pay me because you're gonna have to use the software anywhere, and it's the best software because of the scale, the margins, right? So what I'll say is if you're interested, look at the content, learn from the content. If you like it, and if it helps make you money, then when you go to start your high level, come over and join. If you don't like it, it's not for you, not a big deal. But at least that way, I have it set up like that so that way you can learn my methodology. You can get a feel for how I like to help people and coach for 100% free. You can make money off of what I'm teaching you for 100% free. And then if you decide to pull the trigger, then you can join again 100% free. And I have all the details over there. But yeah, I definitely appreciate you having me out. And for anyone who's interested, you can always hit me up on social. But YouTube's gonna have all my free stuff, and you don't have to pay me for it.
Awesome, awesome, man. Like, well, like you have dropped some serious business wisdom today. And it's been an awesome time hanging out with you. And you have shared a ton of value insight about businesses, entrepreneurship, especially sales and marketing. So I want to express my gratitude for your presence over here today. And thanks a million for joining us, Alec. And before I wrap up the things, if anyone wants to reach you out, so how they can find you or how they can become a part of your
Mhm.
community, I just want to hear from your wording. Like, what's the
Yeah.
best to connect with you?
If you want to, so on YouTube, it's just youtube.com// at Alec J. Roy. So it's at Alec J. Roy on all my socials. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It's at even Twitter, or I guess X now. It's all Alec at Alec J. Roy. So AlecJRoy. You can DM me. I see all my messages, even the message requests. So you can DM me. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll even see my WhatsApp number. If you prefer WhatsApp, you can message me, and I reply to everybody very quickly. Um, Even people who are not in the community, I reply very quickly. So if you have any questions, hit me up. And then that'd be the best thing to do. Check out the YouTube, see if it's your kind of stuff. If it is, great, DM me. If not, no worries. I'm just happy to. I'm definitely appreciative of you bringing me on the call. So I really appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate you bringing me out to your community. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll definitely drop your social media profile links on the video description or comment down below. So I'll definitely drop it out. If anyone wants to reach Alec Roy, you can reach to him directly. He's very super responsive on the social media platform. And I hope all of you have enjoyed this amazing session with Alec. And thanks everyone for tuning into Atomicpreneur Show. If you want me to bring more superstar like Alec Roy in the future, don't forget to follow and subscribe me on Facebook and YouTube. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you everyone. This is Sudarshan signing off.